This is your president talking right now. There's been a lot of talk about this interview that I did with Joe Rogan, but there's only one guy, quite frankly, probably the greatest guy to watch, and that's Professor Nez. I love him. He's not a nasty person like Kamala. He doesn't belong to Tren de Aragua. Thank you, Mr. President. I really appreciate that. I'm going to share with you the top highlights, the top moments from the interview that is absolutely breaking the internet. Joe Rogan interviews President Donald Trump. It's already got over 18 million views as of this recording versus Kamala going on the Call Her Daddy podcast. It's been up for 2 weeks. And it doesn't even have 700,000 views.
How long have we been talking?
A long time.
Let's go.
Probably like 3 hours.
I got to make a speech.
Right.
But we'll do it again. I want to do it again with you.
Okay.
You are something. I said, how long will this last? Anywhere from an hour to 3 or 4 hours.
How long we do, Jamie? 3 hours.
Good. Well, we'll do it again. I thought it was great. I think it was
great. It was a lot of fun.
You are a fascinating guy, and you've done a great job.
Thank you very much.
I'm a big fan, and thank you very much. It's been an honor. And
it's been an honor to
have you on as well. I'm going to make a great speech, and I'm going to say, and if I'm a little off tonight, I'm going to blame you. I'm going to say I spoke to this guy for 3 hours. Anyway, it's a great honor to be.
Thank you, sir.
With you. Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
All right.
it.
Bye.
I have to preface before I start showing you these clips with the fact that Joe Rogan, and by the way, Trump and Joe Rogan didn't always get along. Joe Rogan was a staunch, maybe even radical Democrat left. He voted for Bernie Sanders in 2016. Joe Rogan, to me, really exemplifies what this whole entire channel is about, which is showing the truth, what the fake, corrupt, woke media won't share with you, and actually awakening to the objective truth that, wow, this guy has been demonized, vilified. They've called him Hitler. They've thrown everything in the kitchen sink at him. And they want me to hate him with such a visceral force that it's almost unbearable. It's almost impossible not to. But he did his own critical thinking. And listen to this clip right here where Rogan actually classifies the Republican Party now as the party that's fighting the system. Watch this.
Rebels are Republicans now. They're like, you want to be a rebel, you want to be punk rock, you want to buck the system, you're a conservative now. That's how crazy. And then the liberals are now pro silencing criticism. They're pro censorship online. They're talking about regulating free speech and they're regulating the First Amendment. It's bananas to watch.
Joe, they come after their political opponent.
Well, they
I
do.
got more guys. I always say, I kid, but I'm not kidding. I've been investigated more than Alphonse Capone. He was the meanest of them all. He'd kill you in 2 seconds if he didn't like you, right? I've been under investigation more than Alphonse Capone, only because it's political opponent stuff. And I've won. I won the big case in Florida. I'm winning the other stuff. You win, but you know what they did? They did something that's only done in third world countries. They came after their political opponent.
Yes.
I could have put crooked Hillary in jail.
Well, not only that, but they're weaponizing it by saying that that's what you're going to do once you get in office.
Isn't it
by
great?
ignoring what they're doing right now. It's crazy.
I heard it. Somebody was defending me today. They said, no, they say that's what you're doing to him. They're going, he's going to put us in jail. He's going to invest.
That's what you're
doing. That's what you're doing to him.
Yeah.
A lot of people say, will you do that? Will you do that to him, to them, if you win? It's the presidency has tremendous power. I could have put crooked Hillary in
I respected
jail.
that you didn't because what you said was it would be bad for the country.
This first highlight, right out of the gates, Rogan talks about the treatment of Donald Trump, and especially uses the example of The View and how The View just rapidly flipped. And then Trump's response, because, back then, they absolutely loved him. Whoopi, Joy Behar, or I call her Joyless Behar. Listen to Trump's reaction to this.
It was the episode of you when you're on The View. And I think it was 2015 or 2006, like when you were running for president.
Right.
And you got introduced as our friend Donald Trump.
That's right.
Whoopi Goldberg gives you a big hug and a kiss. Joy Behar gives you a big hug. Barbara Walters gives you a big hug. They all loved you. They were all talking about how you might be you might be conservative in your financial positions, but you're very liberal socially. They were talking about you in such a favorable light. The audience was cheering. And then you actually started winning in the polls, and then the machine started working towards you.
Yeah.
But there's probably no one in history that I've ever seen that's been attacked the way you've been attacked, and the way they've done it so coordinated and systematically. When you see those same people in the past very favorable to you, like Oprah, when you were on Oprah's show, she was encouraging you
last week.
Donald Trump.
My friend,
watch this. Just watch this. This is nuts. We're in an alternative universe, okay? Because this is not that long ago.
Go standing O.
Bro, watch this. Just watch how this goes. Watch this. So she's a Republican. That's easy.
Yep.
But everybody else.
The Joy
hugs.
Can't wait to get a hug in.
Yeah, everyone's hugging. Look at this. Look at this. Kisses, hugs, kisses to Whoopi. Everybody hugs and kisses. Even Joy Behar hugs and kisses.
Even Joy Behar hugs and kisses.
See?
So right there, the hypocrisy. I mean, The View is literally the worst thing ever. This is not Barbara Walters' View anymore. It has literally become like the Communist Roundtable. It's unbelievable, the people that they let. I mean, it's unbelievable that these people are actually able to broadcast to millions and millions of people every single day. It's so insane. Sunny Hostin literally has two molecules in her head, and they're fighting. But here's the next clip I want to share with you, where Trump tells Rogan about how he appointed people and hired and made some mistakes in his first campaign, and he won't do the same thing. Watch this.
Biggest mistake I made was I picked some people. I picked some great people, but you don't think about that. I picked some people that I shouldn't have picked. I picked a few people that I shouldn't have picked. And
neocons?
Yeah, neocons, or bad people, or disloyal people, or
people that were just
people
bad.
That were into the
You
people
got
that
bad advice.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're reading about them a little bit today. A guy like Kelly, who was a bully, but a weak person. You know more about bullies than anybody probably around, because you deal in a certain sport where the bullies are exposed very quickly.
Yeah.
But he's bad. Bolton was an idiot, but he was great for me, because I'd go in with a guy like a John Bolton. You know John Bolton. A friend of mine called me up. I was picking Bolton, and he's a very smart guy. His name is Phil Ruffin. He's a very rich guy from Las Vegas. He's a great card player. He doesn't play cards, but he's a great player. He's just a natural. Got poker sense, right? The good old poker sense. It was in that I was picking Bolton, or I picked Bolton. He called up. He said, "Don't pick him. Why? He's a bad guy." Now, he wasn't in politics at all. He's in various businesses. He said, "He's a bad guy. He's just, it always works out bad with that guy." I said, "Oh, man, I wish you told me this 2 weeks ago. I already hired him. He's here." And he was right. But he was good in a certain way. He's a nut job. And every time I had to deal with a country, when they saw this whack job standing behind me, they said, "Oh, man, Trump's going to go to war with us." He was with Bush when they went stupidly into the Middle East. They should have never done it. I used to say it as a civilian.
I think one of the things that makes Rogan such an amazing podcaster is his authenticity, and he rightly so describes Trump's sort of allure in this beautiful clip right here with just a great example. Watch this.
So I always got more publicity than other people, and it wasn't like I was trying. In fact, I don't know exactly why. Maybe you can tell me why.
Oh, I could definitely tell you. You said a lot of wild shit.
Maybe.
You said a lot of wild shit, and then CNN, in all their brilliance, by highlighting your wild shit, made you much more popular.
Yeah.
And they boosted you in the polls because people were tired of someone talking in this bullshit, pre-prepared politician lingo. And even if they didn't agree with you, they at least knew whoever that guy is, that's him. That's really him. Yeah. When you see certain people talk, certain people in the public eye, you don't know who they are. You have no idea who they are. It's very difficult to know. You see them in conversations. They have these pre-planned answers. They say everything. It's very rehearsed. You never get to the meat of it. One of the beautiful things about you is that you freeball. Like, you get out and you do these huge events, and you're just talking, and you're making. We've highlighted you on the show many times when you did this Biden impression where he's walking around, he doesn't know what he's doing. It's funny. It's stand up. It's funny stuff. But it's like, you were making fun of Elon one time. You were doing an Elon impression. It's great. You have like comedic instincts. Like when you said to Hillary, you'd be in jail. Like that's great timing.
Yeah.
But it's like that kind of stuff was unheard of as a politician. Like no one had done that.
There's a point in the conversation where they started talking about 2020 and the election and the ballot boxes and all the mysterious, peculiar things that happened around that. Check this out.
One of the things that was fascinating also was the denial of the election results is a pretty common thing. Hillary Clinton famously denied that she called you an illegitimate president, and she said that Russia put you in place.
Even though she conceded.
Yes.
She conceded the night of the election because she was beaten.
Yes, and it was a thing that was pretty common for people, especially Democrats, to deny the elections. There's been many of them. The Bush administration, the dangling chads, all that stuff.
Well, look at these guys in Congress. All these sleazebags in Congress that are Democrats, they're still denying 2016. But now they don't so much because, they try and pin it on me. You don't hear them say,
but here's my
point. They denied it right up until the end.
My point is, this idea of election fraud is a forbidden topic. And you get labeled an election denier. It's like being labeled an anti-vaxxer if you question some of the health consequences that people have had from the COVID-19 shots. Oh my God, you're an anti-vaxxer. If you say, and what I say publicly, and I've said this a lot, it's not 0%. So if you ask me, what is the amount of election fraud in this country? Is it 0%? No one thinks it's 0%. I've never met one person, not a super liberal, progressive, far left person or a right-wing conservative. Not one person thinks it's 0%. They think when you have human beings, and also you have a lot of weirdness that was going on during the 2020 elections, particularly with mail-in ballots.
And you had legislatures that had to approve, and they didn't approve, and they went out and did it anyway. And you had old-fashioned ballot screwing. I mean, you had you have people going up and dropping in phony votes. You had unsigned ballots, et cetera, et cetera.
There's certain people that think that they have.
And it's a great segue of, and I'm so glad that my image is covering her hideous face. But Trump talking about how Kamala Harris compared him to Hitler. This is his response to that. Check this out.
Rhetoric is also that you're Hitler, and that in order to stop Hitler, you have to do whatever it takes.
That was okay, yeah.
Yeah, and this is, I mean, you're hearing this now. Kamala compared you to, said your love of Hitler yesterday.
Kamala's a very low IQ person. She's a very low IQ. I'm for taking tests, too. I think anybody that runs for president should give them tests. And it's not an age thing. It's not based. If you look back on history, 70s and 80s, some of your greatest leaders in the world history, long-time world history, they were in their 70s and their 80s. But I think you should take cognitive tests. I think they say it's unconstitutional. But
that's ridiculous.
I think Kamala should have a test because there's something missing. There's something wrong with her.
Well, I think it's pressure. I think the pressure and the scrutiny, you've been a celebrity for a long time and you understand what this is like. But for someone who's in her late 40s, who becomes the vice president, who runs for president, becomes the vice president, and then all of a sudden the weight of the world is on your shoulders and there's all these people paying attention. A lot of people clam up.
But you either have it or you don't.
Correct.
Look, this is an interview. We've covered a lot of territory, right? And it's fine. I don't care. I want to. I think it's much more interesting. To do an interview with Anderson Cooper, a crazy softball interview.
Disaster.
She took 2 days off and she studied all day long, and then she comes out with a result that was a real embarrassment. That was a really bad interview. She couldn't answer a question, and every question's not answered. I mean, like, what would you do your first day in office? Okay, I'll build a wall. I won't build a wall. There's 100 things you can say. Just say anything, right? There's something off with her.
I have to show a couple of clips that I thought were just absolutely phenomenal when the topic of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. came up. Check these out.
First of all, I love this idea of you teaming up with Robert Kennedy.
Right.
And I love this Make America Healthy Again idea, because there are chemicals and ingredients in our food that are illegal in other countries because they've been shown to be toxic. There's pesticides and herbicides, and there's a lot of shit that's been sprayed on our food that really is unnecessary. And there's a lot of health consequences that people are suffering from a lot of these things. And
I brought this chart for you.
Beautiful.
Because I had a feeling you'd be asking me.
Thank you.
Look at this chart. These are healthier countries. Look where the United States is. I'm going to send this to RFK Jr. Look at that.
This is, something along the... I was actually talking to RFK today, and he told me that more than 70% of young men are ineligible for the military because of their health.
Unbelievable.
I could see it.
That's crazy.
A lot of it's obesity.
So here's the life expectancy versus health expenditure.
Same chart.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
USA.
Wow,
yeah.
That's pretty good.
Jamie's the best.
He's very good.
He's the best.
But look at that. Look where
at
the USA is.
It's not good. And that's our food.
That
that's our diet. That's sedentary lifestyle. That's our diet. That's the chemicals we ingest. That's what that is.
But RFK is going to be very, I think he's a great guy.
I love the fact that you guys teamed up.
Yeah.
And are you completely committed to have him a part of your administration?
Oh, I am. But the only thing I want to be a little careful about with him is the environmental. Because, he doesn't like oil. I love oil and gas. I think
just keep him out of that.
To fire. So I'm going to try to keep him out of a little. I said, focus on health. Focus. Yeah. You can do whatever you want.
Exactly.
But I got to be a little bit careful with the liquid gold,
I understand. But listen, there's plenty of good work that could be done if you focus on it.
This was probably the funniest moment where he talked about Kamala Harris doing the Rogan show. Check this out.
Can you imagine Kamala doing this show?
I could imagine her doing this show.
She'd be laying on the floor.
She was supposed to do it, and she might still do it, and I hope she does.
She's not going to do it.
I will talk to her like a human being. I will try to have a conversation with her.
If she did this kind of an interview with you, I hope she does, because it would be a mess. She'd be laying on the floor comatose. She'd be saying, call in the medics.
I think we'd have a fine conversation. I think I'd be able to talk to her. I wouldn't try to interview her. I'd just try to have a conversation with her and hopefully get to know her as a human being. That was my goal, having her on.
This was super interesting when Rogan and Trump talked about the Democrats who opposed voter ID and why. Listen to this.
Mail-in ballots are a bad thing.
That certainly is a problem. Mail-in ballots are a problem.
But every
Another
other country,
problem is
other
voter
countries,
ID.
Yeah, a voter ID.
Voter ID is the most bizarre argument that I've never seen anybody articulate in a way that's convincing.
Because
why
they
you don't
cheat.
need voter. Well, it doesn't make sense any other way. I've tried to straw man it, or I've tried to steel man it rather. I've tried to look at it from a position like, why would you not want people to have ID? And a lot of the ideas are
cheat.
Just ridiculous. You need an ID to get a driver's license.
Okay, but here's now the next step. Gavin Newsom, one of the worst governors in the world.
True.
And I used to get along, but I don't get along with him because he's just too, it's just a whole con job. But Gavin Newsom, the other day, signed a bill that you are not allowed to ask a person, even ask them whether or not they have a voter ID.
Now, what could be a charitable reason why anybody would want that? But that would be the only thing that makes sense.
But that's taking it to the next level.
Right.
Now, you have ID. The Democrat National Convention, when they had it the last time, I saw, they had a sign, like a billboard, on the name of the person, where they live, how they live, who the hell their boyfriends are. Every single... It was, and a big picture. That's for they have an ID, a big ID. It was hanging like you were a prisoner. They had these massive cards, everything. And yet when it comes to the vote, in theory, the most important thing we do, okay? When you go to a grocery store, you give ID. But for a vote, it's supposed to be a sacred thing. And it should be a sacred thing. No voter ID because they want to cheat.
Well, it doesn't make sense in any other way. I've tried to look at
There's no other way.
There's no argument that anybody's presented that makes any sense. Why?
The funny thing, Joe, the Democrats, the people, they all think you should have it. In other words, you should have voting. If you go to the people, Mrs. Schwartz, Mrs. Smith, Mr. and Mrs. Jones.
Sure.
They say, of course, yeah. Democrats, they say yes. It's the politicians that don't want it, like Schumer and these guys, they don't want it because they want to be able to cheat. Because you know what? If they didn't have it, okay, who is going to vote for somebody that wants open borders? Who's going to vote for somebody that wants to have men playing in women's sports?